Mine hurts too now.
Like, at first I couldn't even lay my hand flat. It was like, shit. So it's like, I'm glad I can at least do 5 push-ups flat without the brace.
Yeah.
So it's definitely healing.
Yeah, mine still hurts. Number 29, Tao Te Ching. Those who wish to take the world and control it, I see that they cannot succeed. The world is a sacred instrument. One cannot control it. The one who controls it will fail. The one who grasps it will lose. Because all things either lead or follow, either blow hot or cold, either have strength or weakness, either have ownership or take by force. Therefore the sage eliminates extremes, eliminates excess, eliminates arrogance. Let's see. Let's go to number 30. The one who uses the Tao to advise the ruler does not dominate the world with soldiers. Such methods tend to be returning. The place where the troops camp, thistles and thorns grow. Following the great army, there must be an inauspicious year. A good commander achieves result, then stops, and does not dare to reach for domination. Achieves result, but does not brag. Achieves result, but does not flaunt. Achieves result, but is not arrogant. Achieves result, but only out of necessity. Achieves result, but does not dominate. Things become strong and then get old. This is called contrary to the Tao. That which is contrary to the Tao soon ends. This chapter expresses Lao Tzu's position against the military and violence in general. Those who are in tune with the Tao understand that violence begets more violence. Acts of aggression will inevitably cause retaliation and counterattack. This is true between nations as it is between individuals. The use of military power is, by its very nature, extremely negative. The thistles and thorns that flourish where the troops strike camp are symbolic of the negativity. On a personal level, the camp represents the place in the heart where we harbor resentment and bitterness. The thorns represent the emotional poison that inevitably festers there. This passage makes it clear that although Tao cultivators are against violence, they are not pacifists. They will do everything possible to avoid conflict, and yet remain ready and capable when backed into a corner. Many of the greatest generals and martial artists in history were disciples of the Tao. They were dedicated to peace, but they were also devastating in combat. They used force only when they had no other choice, and once they achieved an intended result, they would go no further. To them, victory is not something to flaunt or even celebrate. This observation from nature that things grow strong and then age and perish can be applied to the rise and fall of empires throughout history. Time and time again, ambitious nations become powerful, exert their will on other nations through force, and then decay from within. Empires never last, just as all things contrary to the Tao never last. On a personal level, we can learn from this by living life with deliberate skill. Instead of aggression, we use courtesy. Instead of heavy-handed tactics, we use a light touch. Instead of forcing our will on others, we build consensus and harmonious teamwork. Any reflection?
I like that part where it said Tao cultivators aren't pacifists, but they pursue peace before they said they don't even celebrate victory. It's kind of hard to see, at least in this part of the world.
Yeah, I like that part too. It's like a balance. Like they don't want to be violent, but instead if you back them in the corner, then they're gonna be devastating in combat. Dedicated to peace, but also devastating in combat. Only use force when they have no other choice. Once they achieve their intended result, they don't go further. To them, victory is not something to be flaunt or even celebrate. To me, it's similar to like if you're a police officer and you had to shoot and kill somebody, you're not supposed to be celebrating. You know what I'm saying?
High five people on the street. They don't Snapchat.
So it's like that. Or even if you're not a police officer, you're just concealed carry, and then you ended up having to kill somebody. You know, you're not supposed to be celebrating. You know. So I like that part a lot. And it's like the opposite of combat sport because they're like celebrating it all the time, you know.
I was just thinking, what you said with combat sport, what it says when you have like victory, you don't go any further. Like, you know, people like oh, you got him on the ground, keep going. It's like, man, you already got him beat, just back off, you know.
Yeah. But another thing is like combat sport is like you're not backed in a corner, like you're like applying to get in there. You know what I'm saying? Like you're striving to be there. You're not backed in no corner. So I think that's a really good chapter to illustrate what martial arts should be. Alright, 31. A strong military, a tool of misfortune. All things detest it. Therefore those who possess the Tao avoid it. Honorable gentlemen, while at home, while the left, when deploying the military, value the right. The military is a tool of misfortune, not the tool of honorable gentlemen. When using it out of necessity, calm detachment should be above all. Victorious but without glory. Those who glorify are delighting in the killing. Those who delight in killing cannot achieve their ambitions upon the world. Auspicious events favor the left. Inauspicious events favor the right. The lieutenant general is positioned to the left. The major general is positioned to the right. We say that they are treated as if in a funeral. Those who have been killed should be mourned with sadness. Victory in war should be treated as a funeral. This is a clear, uncompromising denouncement of the military. Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching when China was descending into the chaos of warfare, so chances are he observed its horrors firsthand. The ancient Chinese observed that it was usually the right hand that wielded weapons, so they associated the right side with violence and the left with peace. This is quite different from the Western association of the right with goodness and the left with negativity. Sinister is Latin for the left. When forced to use the military, honorable individuals do so with detachment. They do not fight out of anger or hatred, and when they achieve victory, they do not consider it glorious. Those who glorify war may think they have what it takes to conquer the world, but history shows that inevitably fail to achieve their ambitions. They may dominate by force temporarily, but they never win the people's hearts. With our understanding of how the ancient Chinese viewed left and right, we can easily decode this section. Auspicious events should be peaceful and harmonious, while inauspicious events are often linked with violence. The lieutenant general responsible for the peacetime training of the military is situated to the left of the emperor. The major general responsible for leading attacks is stationed to the right. Because both generals represent the military, we regard them as if they are fixtures in a funeral. The term funeral in this context is also used as a generalized mourning for the many lives that are inevitably lost in battle. We grieve for these lives, no matter which side of the battle they fought on. We see the victory parade in the aftermath of war as a funeral march, no matter which side happens to be the victor. Reflection. The Tao, eternally nameless, is simplicity, although imperceptible, cannot be treated by the world as subservient. If the sovereign can hold on to it, all will follow by themselves. Heaven and earth together in harmony will rain sweet dew. People will not need to force it, it will just by itself. In the beginning, there were names. Names came to exist everywhere. One should know when to stop. Knowing when to stop is thus avoiding danger. The existence of the Tao in the world is like streams in the valley flow into rivers and the ocean. To call the Tao nameless is to emphasize its eternal nature. The Tao was present long before there were humans around to name names, and it will continue to be present after humans are gone and all the names have long been forgotten. The sovereign can mean the emperor of China or a generic ruler. The latter can mean you too, because you are the ruler of your inner kingdom. When the ancient emperor ruled China with the Tao, the people followed their own accord. When you wield the Tao to govern your life, every aspect of it, mental, spiritual, physical, will also fall into line naturally. Sweet dew is a metaphor for good fortune. Raining sweet dew means an abundance of good fortune. When we hold on to the Tao, everything seems to fall into place. Plans progress smoothly, people come to our aid, and things somehow work out in favor more often than not. It is as if heaven and earth are actively helping us, granting us extra luck, thus the rain of sweet dew. Names in this context is symbolic of complexity. The more complicated the world is, the more names we need to label everything. Complexity leads to chaos and conflicts. Stopping the increase of names means returning to the simplicity of the Tao. This line is a recurring image of the Tao Te Ching. The streams in the valley flow together to form rivers and eventually pour into the ocean. This can represent all things returning to the Tao. It can also represent how we resonate powerfully with the Tao and so gravitate towards it. In this chapter, it points to how naturally everything comes together for you when you are on the path of cultivation. Reflection.
It makes me think of like different illnesses that may not even be like real illnesses. And they keep like creating medicine for them, and it's always a name for like some type of condition or whatever it is. Even if it's natural, they name it just so they can prescribe something.
Yeah. Those who understand others are intelligent. Those who understand themselves are enlightened. Those who overcome others have strength. Those who overcome themselves are powerful. Those who know contentment are wealthy. Those who proceed vigorously have willpower. Those who do not lose their base endure. Those who die but do not perish have longevity. The cultivators recognize the great difficulty in knowing oneself. None of us can be very objective when it comes to self-assessment. Most of us are able to see others quite clearly, but ourselves not at all. This line is the Chinese equivalent of the ancient Greek maxim, Gnathi se autem, or know thyself. To be powerful in this context means having authentic inner strength. This can be extremely difficult because you are your own worst enemy. You know your vulnerabilities and you know exactly how to take advantage of them. This authentic inner strength is completely separate from external physical strength. An alcoholic who overcomes his addiction possesses true strength, even if he isn't much of a weight lifter. This line refers to physical cultivation. Exercises such as Qigong and Tai Chi can help us develop vitality and live life to the fullest. It is only through consistent, sustained practice that we can achieve results in a natural and healthy way. Therefore, the key to Qigong and Tai Chi, and indeed any physical discipline, is willpower. Base in this line refers to spiritual foundation. As we progress along the path of cultivation, it is certainly that we will be tested over and over again. Those who have a solid foundation will withstand the trials. Those who do not will be unable to handle the challenge. To die and not perish means the memory of the deceased lives on. This, rather than the alchemical pursuit of immortality, is what we really mean by longevity. Noble goal for Tao cultivators is to live a life rich with meaning and full of joy of helping others. Such a life continues on forever in the hearts of people, remembered, cherished, and missed. Reflection.
That last part, where you can perish but live on, like, I mean, it put it really in perspective what I was thinking from the get-go, but somebody passes away, you know, like spiritual leaders like the Prophet Muhammad or Jesus, so even, let's say yourself, for instance, like, certain things live on in other people, like your ways, things that you taught other people lives on within other people, versus something like, oh, well, I can build a freaking pyramid, but the civilization that built it is no more, you know.
Yeah, I think it's just powerful with the sages that you mentioned. Even Lao Tzu died over 2,500 years ago, and we're reading this book right now. And you just compare like these sages, like Buddha, Lao Tzu, Jesus, Muhammad. Compare that to like the athletes. It's like athletes are just forgotten usually. You know, like the football players achieve whatever, and it's like momentary, you know. But the sages, they're remembered because of that wisdom that they share that actually help people, you know. Like when you're watching sports, somebody wins however many championships or scores how many points, like how is that really helping your progression in your life? You know, sages kind of get you to see certain things in a different perspective, and it can be life transforming. So they're like remembered for centuries, and you know, they're like immortal because they live within us, and we should aim towards cultivating that within our practice. Like, it's not just about the physical, it's about, you know, bettering yourself, becoming a better person, and growing spiritually, being wise, being enlightened. it's talking about practicing, you know, in a natural and healthy way. Like, and that's how I view martial arts. They're saying Qigong and Tai Chi, but that's pretty much what the school's representing. It's just training in a natural, healthy way for longevity. Like, you progress, you're not like burning yourself out, you're not pushing yourself too hard, but you're just progressing in a healthy way. I think that's very important in martial arts, and it's very much lacking in this culture, because everybody's trying to push themselves so hard in unhealthy ways, taking drugs or whatever to get an edge. And that's not the way of Tao, you know. But all the chapters that I read today, they're all very relevant to the martial arts. You can clearly identify the difference between what the Tao is promoting opposed to what's going on in this culture.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like you said, with the martial arts, and it's not saying like all combat, but even in one of the chapters it was talking about, like, you know, just not celebrating victory. It's like putting your ego in check.
Yeah.
Or like if you have a war, it's like it's supposed to be like a funeral. It's like, wow, like we won the war, but we're in mourning. It's like, well, you still have to think about, you know, how many deaths there have been to lead to peace.
Let's go in the other room, do some weights.